Hello everybody, welcome to Shyam's Story Time. Today I have another interesting story of King Vikramaditya. Are you all ready to listen? The name of today's story is King Chitrasena's When King Vikramaditya pulled the corpse, hung it on his shoulders and walked towards the crematorium, the Vetal told him another story, just like all these days before. The story went like this. Once upon a time, there was a vast kingdom which was ruled by King Chitrasena. He was very fond of scholars and would always invite many scholars to his court and have big debates with them. He would also love to have scholarly conversations with them. One day, a great scholar, 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠, came to the court of King Chitrasena. 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠 was a learned person and he had studied many different scholarly literature work, and he was able to talk in length about all of them to the king. The king was very pleased. He showered him with lots and lots of gifts. Amongst them was one pearl necklace, which was very valuable because those pearls were really rare to find, and the king had got them from a particular place. The king gifted this to the scholar 𝐊𝐲𝐧𝐠. 𝐊𝐲𝐧𝐠 thanked him. The scholar had actually come from a very faraway place called Kashi, and after having spent a few days at the king's court, the scholar 𝐊𝐲𝐧𝐠 took leave of the king and started off back to Kashi. On the way, he had to cross a forest. While he was crossing, the scholar 𝐊𝐲𝐧𝐠 encountered a robber on the way. The robber picked up all the belongings, all the valuable gifts that the king had given him, and of course the pearl necklace. And while he was taking away everything, the robber stabbed 𝐊𝐲𝐧𝐠, and 𝐊𝐲𝐧𝐠 died right there in the forest. It so happened that a few of the king's spies were around and they noticed this. They immediately went and attacked the robber. They arrested him and brought him back to the king's court. The spies came and told King Chitrasena as to what happened in the jungle, and they handed over the robber to him. King was extremely annoyed at what had happened. He could not believe that the scholar had actually died. Out of intense fury, the king commanded that this dacoit be beheaded as a punishment. The next morning, the robber was beheaded. The king grew very, very sad because of this incident. He thought that the scholar 𝐊𝐲𝐧𝐠 had actually lost his life because of him. You may think, oh, how is that possible? But the king thought to himself that it is because he gave him a lot of gifts. It is because he gave him the pearl necklace that it attracted the robber in the jungle, and it is because of that the robber had killed 𝐊𝐲𝐧𝐠. The queen and other ministers tried to convince the king, saying that it is not your mistake. Whatever is destined to happen for the scholar has happened. Why don't you stop worrying? Moreover, you have also given the punishment to the dacoit. You have done your duty. Please don't feel bad. They tried to convince the king. A few days passed, a few months passed, but the king went into a very great depression. All the time he was feeling sad, and he kept, blaming himself for the death of the great scholar. One day, a sage visited the king. He got to know from the queen and the ministers what the king was going through. The sage went inside the king's chambers and spoke to him. He tried to put some sense into the king's mind. He told him, "You're a king. You have fought many wars and you have killed so many warriors. But you never felt bad about it. Why this particular thing? What you have done is your duty. You were impressed by the scholarly conversations you had with the scholar. You gave him gifts. That was the duty of a king. When you came to know that the scholar has been murdered by a dacoit, you beheaded the dacoit. Once again, you have done your duty. So why do you have to feel sad? Please don't," said the sage. The king said that I'm able to understand whatever you're saying, but within me there is this grief that keeps affecting me. I'm unable to have a control over it, said the king. The sage somewhere understood the king's plight, and he said, "Okay, let me tell you this, my dear king. I have some powers with me with which I can bring back scholar 𝐊𝐲𝐧𝐠 to life. Can I do that? Will that bring back happiness in you? Will you become normal after that?" he asked. The king was very happy hearing this. He said, "Can you also bring back the dacoit who has been beheaded? Because if you bring back the scholar to life, then the dacoit, having had that punishment, does not hold good. So he should also be brought back to life. Can you please do that, saint?" he asked. The saint replied, see, I have very minimal powers with me. I can bring back only one person only to life. If you give me the permission, I will bring back Sridatta to life. I await your command, he said. The king thought for a moment and said, my dear saint, thank you for offering this, but you need not bring back anybody to life. The king said this. Vetal stopped the story here and asked King Vikramaditya, was it foolish of the king to have said like this? Why do you think he said no need to bring anybody back to life? He was grieving within him because of the death of the scholar, but somebody is offering to bring him back to life. Why do you think the king acted this way? This was the question Vetal posed to King Vikramaditya. He also added, King Vikramaditya, do not break your silence. If you did, I will fly back to my tree. But if you know the answer and kept quiet, your head will burst into a million pieces. You better remember that, said Vetal. King Vikramaditya said, of course, I know the answer to your question. The answer is this. The king was not foolish in saying that he doesn't want anybody to be brought back to life. In the first place, he said that the scholar and the dacoit should be brought back to life. Only if the scholar was brought back to life, the very sin of killing the dacoit would again fall on the king, and he would once again go into depression because of the same reason. If the saint listened to the king and brought the scholar back to life, he would have lost all his powers. Remember, the saint said that he had minimal powers only with him? Then the sin of taking away all the powers from the saint will once again fall on the king. The king knew that very well. That is why he said, no need to bring anybody back to life. He was not foolish after all, said King Vikramaditya. Vetal was so impressed with this answer. He said, King Vikramaditya, you have always impressed me, but you have broken your silence. I am going to fly back to my tree. Saying so, the Vetal disengaged itself from King Vikramaditya and flew back to the drumstick tree. That's the end of today's story. Did you enjoy today's story? If you did, subscribe to my YouTube channel, 𝐊𝐢𝐧𝐠. You will have access to all the stories that I upload. Every week, you get to hear 2 stories. Saturday, it is a story in English on King Vikramaditya, and on Sundays, you have a story in Tamil on Panchatantra. Watch, listen, and enjoy all these stories. My name is Shyamala. I am a passionate storyteller. I will meet you in the next episode. Bye bye.